This is number seven podcast.
Number 7 podcast.
Welcome back to the number 7 podcast channel. You know, I think everyone loves a good mystery.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are a few places as shrouded in mystery and legend as the Bermuda Triangle. So today we are diving deep into this infamous patch of ocean.
It really is a place that captures the imagination.
Yeah, and trying to separate fact from fiction.
Absolutely.
And maybe figure out what might be behind some of its most famous disappearances.
Sounds good to me.
So first things first, where exactly is this mysterious Bermuda Triangle?
Well, it's basically a region in the North Atlantic Ocean. It's roughly bounded by Miami, Florida, Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Ah, okay, so a pretty big chunk of ocean.
Yeah, it's not just some little tiny area.
And not exactly uncharted waters? Or
No, not at all. It's a major shipping route, lots of traffic.
So when things go missing there, it's not like it's some remote corner of the world that nobody ever goes to.
Right, exactly.
Kind of makes you wonder even more what's going on.
It really does.
So how far back do these stories and legends of the Bermuda Triangle actually go?
Well, I mean, people have been sailing through this region for centuries, so there have probably been unexplained disappearances for just as long.
Right, just lost at sea.
Right.
But there are some pretty famous historical accounts too, right?
Yeah, definitely. One of the most intriguing early mentions actually comes from Christopher Columbus.
Oh, well, really?
Yeah, in his log from his first voyage to the New World in 1492, he describes seeing a strange flame of fire crashing into the sea in this area.
Okay, now that's a little creepy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because even back then, sailors were already reporting unusual events in this region.
So it's not just a modern phenomenon?
No, not at all.
But you mentioned unexplained disappearances.
Right.
When did the Bermuda Triangle really start to get that reputation?
I would say the 20th century, especially with the disappearance of the USS Cyclops in 1918.
Oh, yeah, that one was a big deal.
It was a massive Navy cargo ship carrying over 300 people, and it just vanished without a trace.
No distress calls, no wreckage.
Nothing.
It's like it was just swallowed whole by the sea.
Yeah. It really is a mystery.
I can only imagine what that must have been like. For the families. For the Navy. It's like the Bermuda Triangle suddenly went from a collection of sailors' tales to a very real threat.
It definitely captured the public's attention. And from there, the theories started flying.
Right. All sorts of wild ideas out there.
Everything from alien abductions to underwater cities pulling ships down.
Yeah, I've heard those ones.
Even portals to other dimensions.
You name it.
But then there are the more scientific explanations, too.
Right, and those are the ones that I'm particularly interested in. Let's dive into those for a minute.
Absolutely.
So one theory I've heard is about unusual magnetic fields in the area.
Yes, that's a popular one.
Is there any truth to that?
Well, the Earth's magnetic field isn't perfectly uniform. There are places where it's stronger or weaker. And the Bermuda Triangle happens to be one of those areas where magnetic anomalies have been reported.
Okay, so is it the idea that these magnetic fields could mess with compasses and navigation systems?
Exactly.
And that could lead ships astray?
Yeah.
So essentially just plain old physics playing tricks on you.
Potentially, yes.
And that could be especially dangerous in an area like the Bermuda Triangle.
Right.
Known for unpredictable weather and strong currents.
Absolutely.
If you're already off course, a sudden storm could push you even further into danger.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. What about that other theory I've heard? Something about giant methane bubbles.
Ah, yes. Methane gas eruptions.
Is there any science behind that one?
So scientists have actually discovered large deposits of methane hydrates beneath the seabed in various parts of the world. And these are basically frozen methane gas. And the theory is that if these deposits become unstable, they could release large amounts of methane gas.
And how would that affect ships?
Well, it could create pockets of low-density water that wouldn't be able to support the weight of a ship.
So a ship could just suddenly sink?
That's the idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
And because methane gas dissipates quickly in the air, there might not be any trace left behind.
Exactly.
It makes it look like the ship just vanished into thin air. Okay, both of those theories are pretty fascinating. But I think we need to look at some specific cases to see how they might apply.
Absolutely.
Let's start with one of the most famous and baffling of them all, the Mary Celeste.
Ah, yes, the Mary Celeste.
In 1872, this American merchant ship was found adrift in the Atlantic.
With its cargo intact.
Food still on the table, but not a single soul on board.
It's a very strange case.
So the ship was basically just abandoned.
It seems that way.
No signs of a struggle? No lifeboats missing?
No, nothing like that.
It's like the crew just vanished.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it so intriguing. There's no obvious explanation.
Right.
Theories range from piracy to mutiny.
Sea monsters, sudden storms. Some people even speculate about time travel.
Hold on. Time travel.
Well, the lack of a logical explanation leads some to consider more outlandish possibilities.
I guess so. But let's stick with the more plausible explanations for now.
Okay, sure.
What about another famous case? The Ellen Austin.
Ah, yes, the Ellen Austin.
This American schooner reportedly encountered a derelict ship, fully loaded with cargo, but with no crew on board.
That's right.
And they decided to sail alongside it, hoping to claim it as salvage.
Makes sense.
Sounds like they hit the jackpot.
You would think so.
But then it gets weird.
It does.
They sent a prize crew over to the derelict ship. But then a few days later, a storm separated the two vessels. When they found the derelict ship again, the prize crew had vanished.
It's a strange one.
So the crew disappeared, reappeared, and then disappeared again.
Right.
Okay, that's giving me goosebumps.
It definitely adds another layer of mystery.
And it highlights a recurring theme, people just vanishing without a trace.
You're right.
And speaking of vanishing without a trace, we have to talk about the USS Cyclops again.
Yeah, that one's hard to ignore.
This wasn't just any disappearance. It was the single largest loss of life in U.S. Navy history, outside of combat.
It was a huge tragedy.
And the fact that such a massive ship could vanish without sending a single distress signal.
It's unsettling.
It really is. It's like these ships and planes are being swallowed up by some silent, unseen force.
It's hard to explain.
My
Yeah,
brain-
it really is unsettling, especially in modern times. You'd think with all our technology like GPS and radar and communication systems, it'd be almost impossible to just disappear completely with no trace.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And yet it keeps happening. Those stories keep coming out of the Bermuda Triangle, like the Carol A. Deering.
The Carol A. Deering?
Yeah, 1921, it was found run aground on the Outer Banks.
Oh, yes, I remember that one.
Ship was in good condition, but the entire crew, their belongings, even the lifeboats, just gone.
A classic ghost ship scenario.
It is, isn't it? And it fueled so much speculation. Pirates, mutiny, sea monsters, all the usual suspects.
Oh, and of course those theories about some kind of vortex sucking the crew away.
All right. Okay, you mentioned sea monsters. I have to ask, is there any enervatively credible evidence to support those kinds of explanations? Or are we talking pure fantasy here?
Well, I mean, the ocean is a vast and mysterious place, right? There's still so much we don't know about it, so it's not entirely impossible that there are creatures out there we haven't discovered yet.
True.
No.
But what about the classic image of a giant squid or octopus pulling a ship down? Surely there's no way that could actually happen, right?
Well, those creatures do exist, but there's no evidence to suggest that they could actually take down a large ship.
Okay, that's a relief, I guess.
It's more likely that those stories are just rooted in folklore and that natural human fascination with the unknown.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But speaking of fascinating and unknown, there's one more case I want to bring up. The witchcraft.
The witchcraft. Remind me about that one.
So this was a pleasure craft that disappeared just a mile off the coast of Miami back in 1967.
Okay. Yeah, I remember now.
And what's really strange about this one is that the captain actually made a distress call saying he'd hit something.
Oh, so there was some kind of communication.
Yeah, but when the Coast Guard arrived just minutes later, nothing. No boat, no debris, no sign of the captain or his passenger.
Wow. That's really strange, especially so close to shore. You'd think there'd be something left behind.
Exactly right. Even if the boat sank quickly, a life jacket, some floating debris, anything. But nope, just gone.
I can see why that one fuels the more outlandish theories like time warps or some kind of electromagnetic anomaly that makes things disappear.
It's tempting to jump to those conclusions, isn't it? But I guess we have to remember that most ships and planes that travel through the Bermuda Triangle do so without incident.
Right. Statistically, it's probably no more dangerous than any other busy shipping lane.
Probably right. But statistics don't make for very exciting stories, do they?
No, they don't. Which is probably why the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle persists. It's a place where reality seems to blend with myth and legend.
Yeah, and I think it taps into our primal fear of the unknown, the ocean, this vast, powerful force we can't fully control.
And the idea that there might be these parts of it where things just vanish, it's both terrifying and alluring, isn't it?
It really is. It's like looking into a mirror that reflects our deepest fears and fascinations.
Well, yeah, we want to believe there's a rational explanation for everything, But at the same time, we kind of crave the mystery, the possibility of forces beyond our understanding.
Absolutely. So even with all the scientific explanations and attempts to debunk the myth, the Bermuda Triangle still captures our imaginations.
It's a reminder that there are still mysteries in the world that we haven't solved, and maybe some that we never will.
So what does that mean for anyone traveling through the Bermuda Triangle today? Should we all be double-checking our life insurance policies before setting sail?
I wouldn't go that far. I think statistically, it's no more dangerous than any other heavily trafficked area of the ocean. But it's always a good idea to approach any journey with a healthy respect for the power of nature.
Right, so basically don't be reckless, pay attention to the weather, make sure your boat or plane is in good condition.
Exactly. Those are good practices no matter where you are. But I think the Bermuda Triangle maybe serves as a good reminder to approach the unknown with a healthy dose of both curiosity and caution.
I like that curiosity and caution. So while we may never have all the answers to the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle,
It's a place that can inspire us to keep exploring, keep questioning, keep our minds open to the possibilities.
maybe, just maybe, as we continue to learn and explore, some of those mysteries will reveal their secrets.
Maybe so. But until then, the Bermuda Triangle will continue to beckon us with its tales of vanished ships, unexplained disappearances, and the enduring allure of the unknown.
And who knows, maybe that's part of the charm. The mystery keeps us coming back, wanting to learn more, imagining what might lie beneath the surface of those seemingly tranquil waters.
Yeah, and it's not just the Bermuda Triangle, right? There's so many other mysteries out there in the world just waiting to be explored.
That's true. I think it's important to keep that sense of wonder alive, to always be questioning the world around us.
Absolutely. Never stop exploring, never stop learning.
Well said. Couldn't agree more. So a huge thank you to all our listeners on the Number 7 podcast channel for joining us on this deep dive into the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle.
It's been a pleasure exploring these strange cases with you.
Likewise. Until next time, everyone.
Stay curious out there.
And maybe keep a close eye on your compass.